As we move on, another team that we're looking at being at the top of the MAC Red is going to be the Chippewa Valley Big Reds. They made the postseason the last 3 years, got a big win last season by knocking off rival Dakota in the district final. Looking to build on that success, it has the team excited heading into the season.
Extend your arm.
Our kids did a great job last year. We started off a little slow and had a bunch of injuries and had to move some players around. And by the end of the year, we were playing really good football, and then made a nice run in the playoffs, and gave us, I think a lot of momentum coming into the off season. And then when you return 40-some kids off of that team, obviously you feel pretty good about that going into the season. So, each year our goal is to try to get better and go further in the playoffs, and that's kind of what's happened. So to do that and then have a good group coming back, that's definitely a positive thing.
We have high expectations of this year. We got a lot of experience coming back. We got a lot of seniors coming back, and we're just excited to get back on the field with each other.
Go, Henry. There you go.
I think from a mental standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, to go up to Dakota and beat them, and then go toe-to-toe with Cass Tech into the last 2 minutes of the game. I think our kids now understand that if we play our best and we're consistent and we do what we need to do, we can play with anybody in the state. So I think it changed our mindset a little bit.
I feel like we have a strong returning senior class, and we got a bright side on defense this year. So we should be better in defense. It's really what we lacked last year. So we're looking forward to having a good defense this year.
Our goal every year is, you want to win the MAC Red, which I don't think Chippewa has done since '04, and you want to make the playoffs and you want to make a run in the playoffs. So our goal is to win the MAC Red, and until somebody beats Dakota, they're the favorite. I think they've won it 3 years in a row now. So yeah, we want to try to win the MAC Red, obviously, make the playoffs, and we made it to the Final 8 last year, and this year, our goal is to go further than that.
Go.
I have pretty high expectations of myself and our team, always. So, offensively, with a quarterback like Patrick Brenningstool coming back, who set a bunch of school records last year, and Stefan at receiver, Jimmy Sarnik's an outstanding receiver, he's back, and John Anderson and Trevor Vergowan up front for us. I told our kids if we don't win the MAC Red, I'm going to be disappointed, because to have that type of talent and experience coming back off of a good team, I think that's a legitimate goal for us.
Of course we can compete for a Red Championship. We were there last year. We came up short a couple times, and that we just got to fix that. Big games showing up, but I think we got the guys this year to be able to do it. Come in clutch and get that championship.
The Red's going to be tough. I think Stevenson's going to be really good. I think Warren Mott's going to be improved, and Tom and his staff do a great job. And I think Lons Cruz North will be better too. And Eisenhower's always good. So last year I think you saw a lot of parity. Stevenson upset Dakota at the end of the year, and then you had 5 teams going into the playoffs. I think the league is going to be really balanced, but again, the road goes through Dakota since they're the 3-time defending champs, and I think you'll see a lot of close football games.
All right, Brad, when you take a look at Chippewa Valley on paper, they're definitely going to be one of the top teams in the Red. The talent's there. You heard it in the piece. They got 40-plus players that are returning from last year. A lot of people picking them as maybe one of the favorites.
Well, when I think of Chippewa Valley, I think of a high-powered offense. They were one of 2 teams last season to score over 400 points in all of Macomb County, the other one being Marine City. So this is a high-powered offense, and they get a lot of those starters back on the offensive side of the ball. They got Brenningstool coming back as their quarterback. He's going to be a senior, and he's got a big target out there in Stefan Claiborne, who's a kind of a do-everything player, all-county player. Really a lot of weapons in the Chippewa Valley Big Red offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you actually heard them, a couple of the players mention that it's the big games. They show up to those big games. you know, they should do pretty well. Let's take a look at their schedule. You know, they have a pretty tough opener just like Dakota. In that opener against Lake Orion, it'll be on the road. They beat them last year, so obviously Lake Orion's going to be looking for a little bit of revenge. Then you got the rivalry game, as we mentioned, on the 3rd of September, Dakota, and then Stevenson. You know, the first 3 games all on the road. That's a tough stretch right there.
Yeah, and you come back with a couple games against Warren schools in Cousino and Warren Mott. They go on the road to face another non-league opponent in Utica, and then finishing off MAC Red play with Eisenhower and L'Anse Creuse North before finishing up the season on the road once again against Anchor Bay.
Yeah, when you look at their schedule, you know, again, you look at some of their crossover games against Utica and Anchor Bay. At least on paper, those are winnable games for Chippewa Valley. You know, they're going to compete in all those games in the red. But when you look at it, you know, they got to get through that tough stretch in the opener. I mean, I don't care how good you are. When you're looking at your schedule and you see Lake Orion, Dakota, Stevenson as your first 3, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and you mentioned they're on the road and kind of getting that monkey off the back against Dakota with that big win in the playoffs, the blocked extra point. Chippewa Valley finally gets over that hurdle. They can do anything they want right now with the big win against Dakota.
Yeah, and I think if they can get over that hurdle and, you know, even at worst, if they finish 1-2 in those 3 games, they still can finish strong with a lot of games, like you said, against teams like Warren, Cousino, and Mott that we'll see later in the program. But, you know, they're going to have a tough beginning of the schedule, but they should be okay. And one thing I do want to mention is they are playing with heavy hearts this year. You know, you did not hear it in the package, but they definitely talked about it off camera, dealing with tragedy, the loss of some of their players, and most recently, even Coach Merchant mentioned had to attend a funeral only a day or 2 before practice began. So our thoughts and prayers are with the Chippewa Valley family for sure.